What's going on, everybody? David here. Today we're going to talk about should we have better airlines in the U.S. But first off, on this channel we talk about travel, exploration, and photography. If that sounds like something interesting to you, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the little bell icon so you can get future updates on my videos. All right, I want to talk about the airlines in the U.S. Like, why are we always ranked very, very low? I just saw Skytrax. They did a ranking, the top 10, and then they did the top 100 airlines all over the world. And we did not do well, not at all. You had to drop down to 40th place before you saw any airlines from the U.S. So you saw JetBlue at 40, you saw Delta at 41, you saw Southwest at like 47, and then it worked its way down. And American Airlines was like 74, and United was like 68. So that's crazy to me, because I would think that we would be able to rank a lot higher. And I think a lot of it has to do with the customer service and how things are handled. And I think if you travel enough, you're going to come into situations where you're going to realize that some of the legacy carriers that we have in the U.S., they're just not up to par. And there are a lot of canceled flights. The way they handle the canceled flights is really sketchy. And I've been in situations, and I'll talk about it. American Airlines, I started with them. I wanted to make that commitment with American Airlines, and the customer service just was not up to par. They were doing things that I thought were ridiculous. The fact that we have our phones now, we have apps. So I have the American Airlines app, and they have my phone number. And some airlines, they will text you and let you know, okay, your flight's on time and all this. But I ran into a situation where I had a flight going out early in the morning, like 6 a.m., and it was 11:30 at night, and I get an email. Of all things, I get an email from American Airlines saying that they canceled my flight and they were trying to rebook me on another flight. Now, if I didn't check that email before I went to bed, and I normally don't, but for whatever reason I checked my email before I went to bed, I would not have had any clue. I would have gotten up 4 in the morning, actually probably earlier, 3 in the morning, so I can get ready and get down to the airport for my flight. It was an international flight. I would have realized, what? This flight is canceled? Where am I? How am I flying now? So it would have been a disaster. But I happened to check my email. I realized it. I called them up. I spent the next 2 hours on the phone just trying to rebook. And I was flying to Texas first, so Houston. So I had to catch a connector in Houston. So I needed to fly out early enough so I can catch that connector. And it was just a big hassle. And just the way they handled that, I thought was just terrible. If that's the case, I don't mind a phone call. I don't mind a phone call from them saying, hey, we canceled your flight. We're going to try to rebook you. Let's work something out right now, as opposed to sending me out an email. And then if I didn't get that email, who knows what would have happened. So just things like that. Now, I've flown, I know Hainan Air. Hainan Air is a Chinese airline. They were ranked, I think, 7th. And so that's the highest ranking that, as far as all the different airlines that were on there, that was the highest ranking that I've actually flown on. And I will tell you, the customer service on that plane, on that airline, was exceptional. And I've talked about this before. I mean, it was amazing, some of this stuff. The food was good, and I flew on both business class and economy. So I was flying back from Thailand. I had 3 different legs. I flew business class on 2 of the legs. And then the last leg, I flew economy. And I'm telling you, customer service on all 3 legs was excellent. No flight delays, nothing like that. The food on all 3 legs, the food was good. Even the economy food was better than the United Polaris experience that I had flying up. So when I flew up, I flew United, their Polaris experience, and the food on Hainan Air was better than the food in business class. The food on economy Hainan Air was better than business class United. And just different things. And like when you're sitting on a plane for 10 hours in economy, you start noticing different things. And I remember just sitting there. I'm sitting on the plane. I'm sitting in an aisle seat. So I see people going to the restroom, and I would say every 10 minutes, it was actually one main flight attendant would go in that restroom. She'd go in there. She'd only be there for maybe like a minute, 2 minutes, not enough time to actually use the restroom. She'd just get in there and then come out. And so at first I was thinking, okay, she's just going in there, washing her hands or doing whatever. But after a while, I realized she's going in that restroom to make sure it's clean for the next people that come on. And she was doing that on a 10-hour flight. I kid you not, there was somebody in there every 10 minutes going in. And I think maybe they were kind of just looking like anytime people went in the restroom, okay, we're going to go in there, make sure it's clean, and then come back out. And they were doing that the whole time. So just different things like that, things that you needed if you asked for things. They were always watching. I've been on flights. I fly on United now, so I feel comfortable just saying this stuff. But the flight on United, that business class experience, I saw the flight attendants when we first took off. They served us food. After that, I would say it was a good 4 or 5 hours before I saw another flight attendant. So on Hainan Air, economy Hainan Air, I saw them all the time. They were walking around all the time. If you needed something, they were there. Whereas the flight attendants on United, they were sitting somewhere, and they weren't visible. You didn't see where they were. They always had the little galley area where you can kind of walk and get food and stuff like that. If you want that, like snacks and stuff like that. So they have that set up, and then they just kind of go and find somewhere. I won't say hide, but they find somewhere to be, and they're just there. They're not walking around. So that was just my experience. Now, I just don't know. Like, I know the U.S. can do a lot better when it comes to customer service, but I don't know if maybe that's an expectation now. Like, our expectations aren't as high as some of the other countries that demand more when it comes to the overall experience of flying. Even another thing, flying on Hainan Air economy, you get an amenities kit. I have never flown on a legacy carrier in the U.S. where you get an amenities kit if you're flying business or flying economy. They give you an amenities kit on economy. They give you an amenities kit flying business class, and this is Hainan Air. And so, I mean, it's a whole different experience. And when amenities kit, basically, you have like the eye mask, you have the toothbrush, toothpaste, all that good stuff, socks and slippers and all that stuff that they'll give you, a little bag of stuff. So it was just amazing to me. So I see why they rank 7th out of the 100, and why we start at JetBlue and then work our way down from there. JetBlue at 40 and then work our way down, which I like flying JetBlue. JetBlue's customer service I like it. JetBlue is the only airline where I they send you these surveys right after you fly. Some airlines do it. That's the only survey I've ever filled out. And that was because I was so impressed. When I was flying to Puerto Rico, I was so impressed by the flight attendant that I specifically put her name on there and sent that survey and said she did an excellent job. And she did. She did. Some of the other, flight attendants on there, they were okay, but she was exceptional. So I just don't know. Like, what do we have to do as far as, I think as a consumer, I think our expectations need to rise up, and we need to not accept some of the stuff that goes on. And then I think we'll get better. And there's really no competition. Let's face it. There isn't. I mean, yes, we can fly on these foreign airline carriers, but if we're flying domestic, we can't. So we don't really get that. We don't really see that experience unless we're flying outside of the country, and then we'll get that experience. But if we're flying within the U.S., we're pretty much stuck with the airlines that we have here, and they know that, so they can kind of mess with us when it comes to that. But I'd love to know what you guys think about it. So let me know down below if you've had some bad experiences, good experiences with legacy carriers in the U.S. And check out, I'll post in the description, I'll post the Skytrax, their ranking, so you can check that out. If you have any other questions or anything like that, please post in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.